Good evening. Thanks for coming along, supporting Annie, giving her story about her boy Tom. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of people had to duck out of doing these due to sickness and the such. So we're a bit down on members giving their story. So I'm really pleased that Annie is still fitting well and has good enough internet connection so that the evening can go ahead because internet connections have been another issue that we suffered at either end over the last week or so. So I only know Annie obviously through the DDN group she joined. So therefore, obviously, like we all know, she's had a deaf dog. But I'm going to mostly let her tell her story. And I say, my understanding is that you were partly planning to have a deaf dog, and but I think you were looking for a girl rather than a boy as well. Would
Yeah,
you like to there? Yeah.
yeah. So I had a welfare Dalmatian. He was quite boisterous. He came to me at 7 months old as a foster, but within 24 hours, I thought we'd better stay here because nobody else is going to be able to manage him. Signed up for dog training classes with him and just developed a love for training dogs and building a bond with dogs. And from that, I decided that I was going to probably quite naively, get a deaf Dalmatian and prove to the world that they can live a perfectly normal life. And one drunken Friday night, I come back from the pub and there was this picture of a dog on Deaf Dog Network, and I saw this picture and I thought, that dog is mine. I've got to have that dog. He was the wrong sex because I wanted a girl. He was all the way up in Scotland. So I emailed the breeder and the email kept bouncing back because the email address that he put on the post on Deaf Dog Network was slightly wrong. So then that's me in FBI mode. I need to find this guy because I need that dog. I rang him and I said, I'll have your dog. And he was just like, well, hold on a minute. It's not that easy. So I had to have references from people in Dalmatians that knew me or people dog training that knew me to be able to get this dog. So I got Thomas February 2013, and within days I knew he was something special. And he was just such a wonderful dog who happened to be deaf. So from day one, I hand fed him, and everything was basic laws that you use in normal obedience. And rather than putting a vocal command on that, it was, we'll just turn it into a signal. And they started off as massive signals, but by the time he was maybe a year old, all of his signs were really, really tiny, next to nothing.
Yeah, when people ask me now, what signs do you use? I have to think a little because I'm not so much all of this that you would notice because you just have a life with your dogs, and after a while they just fit in and they know a lot of life cues, don't they? And it's only
Yeah,
when you really want to communicate a lot to them that then you've got to throw a lot of this in.
yeah. So it's a come here.
This way, that way.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I ever taught him was to watch me, to look me in the eye. And that was just the basis of everything. So as long as he was watching me, I'd be able to communicate to him what he needed to do, what we were going to do. I took him to perfectly normal dog training classes, just your standard run-of-the-mill local puppy classes. He joined in with those, never had any deaf-specific training. It was all just normal, every other puppy, whether they're hearing or not, normal obedience, puppy obedience training. The only difference was where they were putting vocal commands on. I still spoke to him, always spoke to him. The times I've walked around this village having a chat with that deaf dog, people think I'm crazy here. But yeah, still spoke to him because of the whole body language part of it. And that is the first thing I ever say to anybody, just keep talking to them because they know far more from your body language than you think you're telling them.
Yeah, and not everyone's aware of that. And initially, even some trainers get a little caught out because they're trying to show you how to show your dog something, and your dog's already got it from the cue your body gives before you give the cue.
Yeah,
because they picked that up when you've been practicing a couple of times. So at the puppy class there, then did they know he was deaf? Did they offer to make any adaptations, or was it just come along and sort yourself out? We're happy for you to be here.
Yes, they knew he was deaf. They knew I was getting a deaf dog. It's Denise McLeod.
Mm.
She's well known locally, um, and I've worked with her now for 15 years. Um, no special adaptations. Just come, bring him to the class. We do the class in a set way. Teach these things on these weeks, and they give you the basics, and then same as any other owner, whether your dog's hearing or not, this is the basics. This is a good way to train it. You go away and practice, and that's all we did.
Yeah, it has to be that way, doesn't it? Because I mean, even with dogs that have hearing, there's nothing. Every dog does it this way, isn't it? They all have their little characters, their little worries, their things that make them happy. So just the fact, as you say, just kind of happens he can't hear. The rest of it is just carry on as normal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, first and foremost, they're always a dog.
Yes.
Always a dog. So yeah, just did really well with him. He ended up, I think, week 3 of puppy class. He was graduated into several stages further on with other dogs, much older dogs. And I think by the time his 8-week puppy course had finished, he was actually in what they called the high school class, which was all of the really old, experienced dogs that had been going there for years because he was
Oh,
that focused.
and I guess he was maybe quite steady, or is it just because he was with you? Did he still have that Dalmatian, well-known, hey, hello, everyone?
No, he was never like that.
No.
He was just always this really calm, quiet gentleman. Um, so he was an incredible dog, regardless of his hearing status. He was just an incredible dog. I mean, after that, they had puppy classes, and Tom would go back into the puppy classes to show the puppies what to do. And we put him in a paddock with puppies, and he'd teach the puppies to behave. And if they got a bit too rambunctious with him, he'd just get hold of their heads and pin them to the floor until they stopped moving. And then he'd let them up. They'd try it again. They'd only ever do it twice. And then all of a sudden, all these puppies would follow him around like he was the Pied Piper.
Well, yeah, that's fine, isn't it? When you've got a steady older dog around for them to discipline puppies in that way, because that's how dogs do it. Obviously, it's not something we would be doing,
No,
getting our puppy and pinning it down to calm it down. We'd probably just go, oh, come here, have a cuddle, and then that depending on how crazy it was. So once you finish with training classes, did Tom ever come with you when you were doing your show stuff, or you used to do some carriage work, didn't you?
yeah. So I actually started showing because I got Tom. So I was offered his sister as my first show dog. So she came to live with us 9 months after, but they would have been 11 months old. She was 11 months old when I got them, and I started showing her. And he used to come along to shows with us. And breed club people were very, very suspicious of me. I think they thought I was promoting deaf dogs. I was going to breed deaf dogs, and I'd got this little PR campaign going on, and this was the way forward with Dalmatians. But once they met him and they saw what an incredible dog he was, they started to change their mind, to the point where one of the breed clubs had published in their code of ethics that you weren't allowed to pass on, sell a deaf puppy. And it was part of an AGM, and I went to the AGM to defend deaf dogs, really. And, they did not need to be called, because this code of ethics was basically saying you can't sell it, you can't pass it on, you either keep it or you make it disappear somehow else. And before I even got the chance to say anything, all of these people stood up and voted against this code of ethics because they'd met Tom, and I remember one person in particular saying he is better behaved than all of your dogs. Um, and basically, it's just a case of you need as a breeder to give as much thought to rehoming a deaf puppy as you would one that's hearing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When breeders do ring me, one of their main concerns is what sort of owner should I be looking for? Do they need to have previous deaf dog experience? And the answer is no.
Right.
But what they need to be is dedicated, as you would expect, like you say, for any puppy for the rest of its life. That's
Yeah,
just
I mean, I have people that are put in touch with me, and I'll talk to them, and I'll talk to them for hours on the phone, and I'll do videos for them, and I'll send them videos. Then all of a sudden, all of these people disappear, and I think, well, that's all right. And I know the dog's all right. I know the dog's still with them. That's all right because they're coping all right and they're doing all right. And I know they get in touch with me if they've got a problem.
And do you find? I guess you find that a bit rewarding. I do. When I find when I get a breeder that's a bit panicked, and just hearing them go, oh, when you tell them their dog can have a decent life.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I have breeders ringing me up in tears. And I'm like, just calm down. Calm down. It's not the end of the world. It's just a puppy.
Don't panic. That's my thing. Don't panic. You'll be fine. The dog will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so throughout his life, you did a little bit of carriaging with it, didn't you? Whether he's when
Yes. Yeah. We took him to. He actually went with us. We'd taken Fanny, his sister, to do carriage work. He went with us. Didn't do anything on that day because he wasn't allowed. It was part of the British Carriage Dog Society's ruling that deaf dogs could not train behind a carriage. They changed that ruling very, very swiftly. I remember getting a message very early one morning saying, just to give you the heads up that the ruling's being changed and there's training in a couple of weeks. And I went all the way down to Wiltshire to train him behind a carriage. And he was the first deaf dog to be allowed to train behind a carriage. And they were looking to change the rules to allow him to compete. Sadly, before he got the chance to compete, he departed. But another lady that I helped with her dog, she ended up competing. Oh no, she was training to compete, but she was supposed to compete last year, but wasn't able to for some reason or another. But yeah, so what Tom couldn't carry on, she did.
Well, it's a major legacy for him to leave behind, isn't it? He changed minds and thoughts and written words and rules,
Yeah,
and opened a thing up for deaf Dalmatians to have a much brighter future. In
yeah.
all honesty, yeah.
I mean, he came from a litter. He came from, his breeder is consistently the top breeder in the UK. He's got 3 champion sisters, and his breeder still says he's the best of the lot.
Despite the bad email, you did your sleuthing, so they must have thought you were definitely that keen, Annie, and then quite
He
rightly
thought
put
I
you
was,
through the mill.
he thought I was absolutely crazy, and he wasn't wrong.
So it wasn't Tom that initially dragged you up to Scotland. Then it was when you got his sister Fanny a bit earlier,
Yes,
and she was your first step into the show world.
yes,
Yeah. So that's really bold, isn't it? You get a show dog you've never showed before. You step in that world, and then you bring along a
well,
Dalmatian.
no, I had Tom first.
Ah,
She came. She came to join us 9 months later, so everybody already knew about me at that point, and that's why they were suspicious.
yeah, just by taking him along and him being a really good boy. And the things you were saying about Tom, I have to say that's what rings with me and Gollum. When I was looking for a deaf dog in that lead up, a boxer was not on the list. It really wasn't. But when he came here as a sort of, yeah, I'll give it a go, see what he's like as a puppy, because it's brand new, I should be able to shape that puppy. That was exactly the right thing. But you just know, don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of dogs, I've had great bonds with all of my dogs, and even more so with deaf ones. But with Gollum, it was just like he read my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm. So yeah. So tell us a little. So was the book kind of on the way whilst Tom was still with us, or
No, So I wrote. It's not even a book. It's basically a PDF sheet, a little tiny brochure, if you like, about basic points of raising a deaf puppy or raising a puppy, because it doesn't matter that they can't hear. This is what I did with this dog. This is what I do with all of my dogs. Um, so yeah, and that was part of my grieving process after I lost him, because I lost him very suddenly at 8 years old, totally unexpected, and it actually devastated. I think only recently seeing his pictures doesn't devastate me, and I don't know if it's because his sister's got to 13 years old, and I'm like, it probably would have been gone by now anyway. But I've got such a lot of happy memories with him. Um, but yeah, that was part of my grieving process, was to write something that I could give to people, because people were still being put in touch with me, and I suppose that helped with the grieving process as well, helping other people. And I thought, just write something, just basics, just bullet points. Do that. This is what I did, and this is why I did it. So basic puppy training classes. You don't need anything special. The only thing they're doing is luring a dog into a position with a treat and then putting a word on it. You'll just change that for a sign. Um, and just the basics of raising a puppy. And that was published by myself with the breed clubs. And it made it as far as Australia, breed clubs in Australia. So, yeah.
And has that been the main audience for the book? Just out to the I had a look at it when you first put it out, because you had the link up. But in the main, has your audience been breed clubs and breeders?
Yeah, I mean, people are put in touch with me, and I'll point them in the direction of the public Facebook group where it's there in the files, because it is on a public Facebook group that is no longer associated with one of the breed clubs. But it's there. It's on all of the breed clubs' Facebook pages in files, and it's got my phone number and my email on it, and people get in touch with me, and people get in touch with me, and I will signpost them to it, or I'll send them a copy. And the general consensus is very helpful.
So, see, Tom's legacy, he's still helping other dogs.
Yeah, yeah. We'll continue to do so as long as I'm breathing.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things like this might last longer than us, Annie. So,
Hopefully.
hey, that's the one. You touched on something when we were talking earlier about a sound that Tom could hear. Do you
Oh,
think
no,
he heard it, or it was the
no,
vibration of it?
no. He couldn't hear it. So when I was out with all of my dogs, because you used to take them all out together, generally Tom was the one that was most reliably allowed off lead, because the ones that could hear me just choose to ignore me. He never did. But I trained all of my dogs to a gun dog whistle for recall. And they go off across the field, and I would raise the whistle towards my mouth, and Tom would come back, and then the others would follow him. And it was because he knew that if I put that thing anywhere near my mouth, a sausage would appear out of my pocket. That was the meat magician thing. She
Yeah,
with me. So yeah, I could just lift this bright blue gun dog whistle towards my face, and this Dalmatian, this 30-kilo Dalmatian, would fly from 500 yards across the field and bring everybody else back with him. But no,
isn't it amazing that he would probably catch that out the corner of his eye as well, like all our deaf dogs do? They use this vision
yeah,
so much more. Just that movement of you, it'd be half keyed in to see if you had a whistle or not, and then take it from there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, his sister Fanny, she's lost her hearing with age now, but all of those signs I use with him, she obviously picked up on. I mean, I can shout her and shout her and shout at nothing, nothing. Put my hand in my pocket, it's just there. She appears from nowhere. She can hear a sausage screaming as it's being squeezed into two pieces.
So, with your third Dalmatian, who's also hearing, lovely little Rita there, I guess, did she just come in with signs as well as words? So she's all prepped when she's older?
Yeah. So her first 8 weeks of life here were actually spent with Tom. So she had all of her walks with him because he was this nice, steady dog, and she'd recall with him, and she'd go off lead with him, and come back with him. Um, and I did find that after Tom had gone, that she took his place. Whereas all of my other dogs all walk on my left side, Tom always walked on my right. Now, when I was walking her with him, she walked on my left and he walked on my right. And once he'd gone, she has naturally fell into my right side. And let her off lead and walk her, it is just like walking him. She's 4 foot in front of you and constantly turning around or looking back to see where you are.
And they're all from the same lines as well, aren't they? So you picked up
Yes.
a nice breeder with great temperaments
Yeah.
and intelligence there. Yeah,
So
lovely.
Rita is Tom's great niece.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely got his gentleness and his way. So I
Yeah.
guess that's nice most of the time, but sometimes it's a bit.
It's hard at first, very hard at first after he'd gone, but yeah, now it's really nice. It's nice having another one of those dogs like that, although she is wild.
A wild child. Yes. Well, Annie, thank you so much for volunteering to do this
Not a
and,
problem.
and helping Tom's legacy stay alive for even longer, hopefully. Um, and if any people have questions when they're watching this back, once it goes up in the group, if you just type them into the comments below once it's up in the group, and then Annie or I will get back to you and answer the questions that you have then. Okay, lovely. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye.